So I've had a few time crunches before where I needed to get my workout in like 30 minutes. And the other day was one of those days I woke up late. I got to work late and then I get off at like 7. And so it got a little difficult for me, but it was only a feel good lift. So it wasn't too hard because I could just, superset things, which is a way that you can really shorten the time down if you really don't have time. But yeah, basically I was just contemplating like, oh, should I not do the workout today and just do tomorrow's workout or whatever, basically skip the workout for the day because of the time. Because normally if I did it like properly, it would take like at least like an hour and a half. My workouts always take at least an hour and a half if I'm doing them correctly, and then they take up to 4 hours if I'm like overthinking between sets. That's besides the point. Basically I still got my workout done in about like 30 minutes with supersets and stuff like that. So you are not, what my point is that you're not always going to have perfect circumstances. Perfect circumstances are a complete myth. If you want to talk about perfect circumstances, the perfect circumstance is now, and to do the thing that you need to get done now. Again, thing is about now and doing things now. It's good to always be in the now and be in the present moment, know what's around you. I've got fucking figure next to me, but like things like that, knowing what's around you, like that's different when it comes to being in the now. But when it comes to doing things now, that means actually getting started, because you'll never really get started. You're never going to get started if you tell yourself, I'm going to do it tomorrow, I'm going to do it later, I'm going to do it. You're just, that's literally what procrastination is. You're just kind of, you're elongating the time that it's going to take you to actually get started. So why not just get started now? And you don't have to. That's the thing that's also misconceived when it comes to getting better and improving yourself, is that you need to be the best person tomorrow. You need to be where you want to be tomorrow. You need to grind and fucking destroy yourself, have no mental energy left tomorrow. But those two misconceptions of I'm going to do it later and I'm going to do it extremely hard, it's not going to work that way. It's not going to work that way. You're going to have to do something and suck at it and maybe do it in like short little time periods, and then you continue, and then you do it for longer periods of time. As long as you do it every day, that's what consistency is not just doing it every day, but doing it consistently means like, oh, you could do it every other day as well, right? Every other day is also consistent, just as consistent as every day, because they're both stacking up. It's like it's the whole thing of, like, for example, the past like 5-6 months of training is the hardest I've ever trained with THP. And it's not about what I did for 1 month, it's what I've been doing for the past 6 months. It's the total amount. And that comes with consistency. And then back to my point on being the best at it, just absolutely getting after it, going for it. And a lot of people misconceive that as just like absolutely destroy your mental energy, have nothing left. And unless if you're David Goggins, most of us don't have too many things that we'd like to sacrifice, and sacrifice is going to be important, very important for reaching your goals. But there's some things that we may not be able to sacrifice because it's what is a part of our lives and it's what we have to deal with. So it's not about ignoring everything else and going all in on it. It's more about the improvement and just learning, because it's impossible to be where you want to be tomorrow, but it's possible to get better right now, to improve right now. It's the little, I believe in a certain thing called like basically just compound interest when it comes to improvement, which is just slowly improving over time, because you just can't make a big jump tomorrow. What it is small improvements over time, over time, over time, over time, until you get that goal, you get that big thing that is going to be your golden day, or your, just whatever it is. It's going to be one of the big goals you've been striving for. Like when I got my first self lob dunk, I've gotten many dunks beforehand on around that same height with self assisted lobs. When I got that dunk, that is just a lot. It's a lot more impressive because I actually lobbed it and caught it in the air to dunk it. And that's just another big milestone that I made off of months prior of training. So then things on the outside perspective, which is what most people see, which is why most people take it in as this, is that it's an overnight success. It's never going to be an overnight success. It's going to be the compound interest of little improvements every single day until it becomes one big thing. So unless if it's like 3 a.m. for you and you're watching this on your bed or something, and you know the way you could get better now is by sleeping. Go to fuck to sleep. It's gonna be hard to sleep after watching this. You're gonna have to take some time. This is why it's important not to use technology before, or like before sleeping, or like in the morning, because it's a very stimulating activity when you're doing something stimulating like watching Instagram or YouTube or things like that. So it's very important to not overstimulate yourself in the morning, because you're not gonna want to do anything later. And also, life hack: if you want to do something but you don't want to do something, you just got off like YouTube or Instagram, you just overstimulated yourself for like hours and hours or whatever the hell you've been doing, you overstimulated yourself and you're not going to want to do something. If you want to get something done, do absolutely nothing before that. Because when you do absolutely nothing before that, or just like meditate or something, there's no stimulation. It's just you. It's just like you in your head. It's like, and then you're gonna get really bored. And then once you get really bored, you're gonna be bored enough to be able to do pretty much almost anything with some kind of stimulation. So anything will be, I guess, quote unquote, fun. So you'll actually be able to have the energy to want to do things. And it's important to do things that you don't want to do and do things that you want to do. Doing things that you don't want to do, it depends on what that thing you don't want to do is. If it's something that benefits you but you don't like doing it, do it. If it's something that doesn't benefit you as much as you think and you don't want to do it, don't do it. But it depends on like the why behind it and what's really benefiting you. And it's like say you have a job that you fucking hate but you got to pay rent. Okay, then you do it, right? But then when it comes to something you want to do and will benefit you, like for me, my athleticism, I can make some kind of career out of it if I become super athletic. And plus, it's something I really like doing. So that's something, also another thing I wanted to point out about doing things you want to do and doing things you don't want to do. There's going to be many things that you don't want to do the things that you want to do. So basically, being able to get through that, it can be pretty difficult, but it's what you have to do to improve. It's what improvement is called. You may not be in your best mental state or your best physical state to do a lot of things right now. But as long as you improve today, as long as you improve tomorrow, as long as you improve the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day, and you mentally note it, maybe you journal or something, or like you keep a scoreboard or whatever the hell you do, as long as you know, no matter what you do, as long as you know that you're getting better, that's what will keep like constant stimulation in your brain and constant dopamine spikes and constant knowing that, okay, I'm getting better, this feels good, I want to keep doing this. And so one thing people do as well is they rely on motivation, and relying on motivation is not going to be a very you've probably heard it before. Motivation, it's definitely what gets people started. Like it's definitely what can get people, like, that motivation comes from somewhere, right? It comes from what you were thinking or what you were just watching, or how what you were just watching relates to your life, and it motivates you. It gets you driven, but it's 3 a.m. and then you wake up the next morning, you don't feel like doing it. So you're going to have a bigger why than anything, because the reason to do something will go past any barrier that you have there. If the why is big enough, the barrier here, it'll crush right through it. Because if the why is big enough and there's an actual reason that connects with reality, there's an actual reason for it, then there shouldn't be anything that will stop you. That why should be big enough, like with little friction. Like if you can lower the friction as much as possible and you have a big enough why, you can do anything. If you wake up like a sloth in the morning, you're super sluggish, you don't want to do what you want to do today, but there's a reason you need to do it. So if you don't do it today, there'll be a cost to not doing it today. And it won't feel good. It'll be literally, when it comes to it, it'll literally be painful. Like people need pain It's a good driver if the pain comes from somewhere genuine and real. So when you get motivated, cool. That's cool. You'll be able to do a lot. You'll be able to be fired up. But can you get that without it? Can you get that without watching a video? Like whenever I have a heavy set, the cheap way to do it is to blast music in your ears and go crazy. Because especially if you're listening to the right song that puts you in the right emotional state. But if you really want to strengthen your mental, before you do a heavy set and say like you really don't feel like doing this set, really think about the why. Like genuinely think about the why. Think about the different phases of like what's building up to whatever kind of pain you have. That's the reason. Like, okay, so now you do not want to do this set, and then you do your set. So then when you don't rely on motivation, it's when you can actually make something a habit. Because then once you actually make something a habit, you're never gonna rely on motivation, but then you're never gonna have to rely on like thinking about it and reminding yourself to do it. You're just gonna do it. You're not gonna be thinking about it in the morning, thinking about, ah, shit, I have to get my workout in today. Fuck, ah, man, and then you overthink it, and then you won't even end up going. But instead of doing that, just don't think about it. Go and go and go and go until you don't have to think about it. It's just a part of your daily routine. You don't have to think about it. You just go. And that's where you don't have to rely on motivation anymore. Once it becomes an everyday thing that you just really like, you really don't have to think about it. You just go and do it. So it's good to find a way to really plan it out for yourself to actually make it a habit. And then talking about time, unless if the most simple way to say it, unless if every single second of your day is occupied, then you got time. The only problem with time is that people aren't good with it. I myself, I'm pretty terrible with time sometimes. Again, unless every single second of your day is occupied, you can always find time. There's always a little slot that you have in there. Sometimes it won't be 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. It'll maybe be 30 minutes or maybe 15 minutes. But obviously when it comes to working out for your vertical jump, you're not realistically, if you want to get a full workout in, 30 minutes is not enough unless if you're doing like a feel good lift or a general day. Maybe about an hour is reasonable if you go fast, if you're doing a proper workout. But then if you really only have that 30-minute block of time, again, shorten your workout, add some supersets. Maybe if you really have to skip some workout, shorten the warm up. Do what you really need to do to get the work done. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you guys learned a few things from this. If you did, like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.